People are saying that Jennie has recently confirmed the V dating rumors, and then we have an alleged YG staff member making a shocking post about that relationship, and then we have some legal action and an update on that. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Disci, let's get into it. Recently, Bang PD made a little bit of an announcement about what was going on with the label and just overall what was going on with him. He actually made a little bit of a statement which I think people found to be very shocking, as they were expecting him to just remain quiet throughout this whole thing. But he talked about how there was obviously a lot of complications with the label, but he also had a lot of personal matters that were happening at the same time. And that just seemed to be how life rolls, right? When something terrible happens, everything happens at once, but maybe sometimes that's a good thing, so that when nothing happens, nothing is happening and you get to enjoy the peace. I don't know. Bang talked a little bit about what his version for HYBE was, hoping that it was going to be a place where artists could come and create things and be themselves and show every part of themselves. And to be fair, that's kind of how the label started to be, and I think it still is. I've done some interviews with people who have worked at the label or trainees at the label, and the label is very different from others. And that to me is quite telling, that they had stayed true to that mission statement and wanting to treat artists better, like maybe not pushing them to get plastic surgery and that sort of stuff, even treating their employees better by having really good benefits as well as food for their staff to eat. Bang apologized seemingly a few times over how he didn't seem to address everything swiftly, specifically saying that he wanted to, but he for some reason couldn't or didn't feel right doing it at that time. He was upset that he had let the members of the label down, and whether members are referring to artists or referring to his team or the investors or all of the above, we don't know. But he mentioned wanting to come back to Korea and deal with the investigation that is going on and give its full attention, as well as cooperating with authorities to essentially get this over with. He mentioned reflecting deeply about his actions and things that he's done and trying to see if there was something that he did that was wrong. So specifically saying that he is reflecting, and that is really important to note, because people are wondering whether or not he's thinking about this at all or just kind of pushing it aside or whatever. Because for a while he didn't even show up in court for certain things. Many have reported he repeatedly has not shown up in court, and this could be for several different reasons. I doubt he's just evading it on purpose, but it could be that there were certain situations going on. I doubt it's legal to do that, and I think there would be a warrant for his arrest if he didn't show up. So, and with some sources that I've seen saying that he has cited business trips and the court has accepted those reasons as a reason for him to not show up. Some people were thinking this stuff probably doesn't even matter to him. He's not even fazed by it. But him addressing this now after a really long, lengthy, several different legal battles going on is really telling that he wanted to, but maybe he just didn't feel right to do it at that time. This statement was interesting because he doesn't really fully address the situation that's going on, nor does he address what is happening and the reason why most people are confused right now. And of course he can't address this because it's an ongoing legal battle right now. But I guess some people were hoping that there would be some sort of insight as to whether or not he's saying he did or did not do the things that he's being accused of right now. Of course he is admitting that he didn't do those things, like in court, like I believe he pleaded not guilty. But I think a lot of people are just confused as to how these accusations were coming about and kind of unfolding in this way. And I guess we were hoping for some insight on that, but we should have known better for that, or at least I should have, if we're hoping for that, because obviously you can't talk about that specifically. But also keep in mind, translations might not be accurate. But these are not the only statements that are being made. Apparently the YG leaker person, whoever that person was, decided to make a YouTube channel or some sort of channel and address some of the ongoing rumors that were happening. Someone left in the comments asking this person, the YG leaker, if they see this comment that was written, to answer the question of if V and Jennie were ever in a relationship. And I think that's probably the biggest rumor or thing that most people would be curious about. The YG leaker allegedly wrote that the two of them were in the talking phase, I guess at that point in time, and maybe they were, and maybe it didn't go further than that because then the rumors of them breaking up or whatever it was happened right after. This definitely makes sense, and I would see why, if this person was telling the truth, why they would opt to say this, because it's a very safe answer. If they were just in the talking phase, then obviously the label cannot confirm or deny the relationship or say anything, because both of them don't even know if they're fully in a relationship yet. And thus it makes sense why all of the parties kept silent about it, because nothing was official yet. So it's a really great answer. Now, do I believe the two were ever in a relationship, talking or not? I don't know. And my answer is going to lean into no. I don't even believe half the pictures we saw were real, but I will say that is a great answer that this person gave, and one that I can definitely see people running with because it makes the most sense out of all the other answers that we've heard. However, I don't believe that the person who is creating the YG leaker account is a real person that has worked for the label. When you work for a label or when you work for any sort of company, especially one that's big, you sign an NDA and a non-compete agreement after you leave the company, potentially even before you work with the company. You have to sign it, right? So you can't just go about leaking these things and talking about it, or you could risk the chance of the whole company coming down on you. So while I believe saying that V and Jennie were in the talking phase is really smart, I believe it's just someone who was smart enough to come up with this answer rather than someone who's actually knew what was going on and worked in the department in which they would have been close enough to know what was going on with V and Jennie, because we're talking about that having to be a pretty high up there position. And this would risk their career if they were leaking information like this. And then if they were found out that they were the one leaking information like this, they would lose their career in general, because word spreads around fast. And if you're someone who's known to break company secrets and to leak dating rumors and that sort of stuff of a company, you're never going to get hired in industry ever again. How do you expect to ever work in that industry again? And a lot of those people who would be in those positions to begin with are people who are passionate enough about their career to work really hard to get there. And I'm assuming that that person wanted to work in the industry because they worked so hard to get there. So like if someone told me if I did a thing, I would get blackballed on TV and I wanted to be a TV producer or something, that obviously I would never do that, because that would be my career goal. And yes, everyone in the industry is super paranoid about never getting to work again. I've talked to so many people in the industry, and even people who are extremely well known, that have basically said that they're scared to be blackballed. But of course, just as this was happening, or maybe this is happening a little bit later, I don't know, there was a video that came out of Jennie in Paris that sparked up huge dating rumors. Jennie was just walking down the street in Paris, maybe this was after her concert, and she was swinging her arms, and people noticed that the walk looked very familiar to the walk that she did when she was with V by the Seine River. She was kind of galloping around and was swinging her arms, and people were saying that it was just very similar in both videos, with many people saying that this is for sure a confirmation that it was likely her with V at the river. But I can say literally anyone can walk like that if you want to think about that. But also it's weird to piece two things together like this, in my opinion. I'm not confirming or denying either video, and I really don't know if I have an opinion. Like, I can see both sides of what people are saying, like they make sense, but I don't know necessarily if I believe either side, so I'll stay neutral to this one. But I will say videos like this do exist all the time, and if it was someone who was cosplaying Jennie and cosplaying V from the video that was then by the Seine River, then that person might also know how to walk like Jennie, right? So that can easily be disproven too, because there have been other videos of Jennie walking like this, I believe. I think I've seen it before. Now, this paparazzi shot, I don't believe was the same one who caught the alleged V and Jennie at the river, but this was a different one, and they followed Jennie around for a little bit. Of course, this is its own problem, right? Just following celebrities around and getting to know too much of their own personal life. And whatever Jennie may be doing in Paris right now, she's obviously not with V, as he is doing his own thing right now, and so it's likely that the two, if they were together, likely are not together anymore, and they're doing their own separate things now. So I hope that they're both happy right now and existing maybe separately, but I also think that there have been times in which we've seen BLACKPINK and BTS overlap, and I'm wondering if that was to test the waters, to see how crazy the community would get should the two have an even bigger overlap relationship or collaboration or whatever. And regardless of dating, I believe that the two can't work together. That just won't happen. The communities are too strong and too angry, and if they do anything, it would cause an uproar and then cause numbers to, and then you would think maybe that would cause numbers to soar, but it probably wouldn't, and both artists would lose their community, because the community might feel like it's a betrayal and they're angry at the artist for doing this, especially if it was a real dating situation. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Make sure you check out Patreon. I'll leave a link at the top of the description. Thank you for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.